Good morning, ladies, and welcome to my 35-week update. A little different. I'm sitting in the parking lot of my OB's office because they called to say I could have an earlier appointment because one of their sonotechs called out. So we're doing week 35 update on the road. So I'll wait to do the baby update till after this appointment because this is actually my 36-week growth ultrasound. So I always do these updates at the end of the week I'm talking about, but I happen to have my growth scan literally on day 1 of week 36. So I will wait for the baby update until I get out of that appointment. For me though, for Mama Update, I finished this week at I think 166 pounds, which is a big gain over last week. And I think that is related to swelling, water retention. I have escaped this, I think, for as long as possible, obviously as long as possible, but I think a lot longer than most women. My hands and feet are swelling, and it's really painful. I've never had like that kind of swelling or anything. It's very weird. I wake up and they hurt, and I go to bed and they hurt, and it's not like terrible or anything, but it definitely makes, you know, typing and doing various things around the house difficult, or at least mildly painful. That was like the big one. Oh, and appetite is down. I can't remember if I mentioned last time, I had a few days there where I was ravenous and I capitalized on it and I just ate as much as I wanted because I learned my lesson from back in the early 20s or late 20 weeks. I was like, oh, I'm like, this is short-lived. So I ate a bunch of stuff and that lasted 3 or 4 days and now my appetite's back down. Oh yeah, I wanted to say thank you. As I'm filming this, the last video that went up on my channel was my 33-week update where I talked about anxiety, and overwhelmingly those comments were really supportive and really kind. And as much as it's a platform for like me to get it out there too, it was really heartwarming for anybody that I could help with being more open. That was, again, the whole point of this channel from the beginning. So thank you for everyone who was helpful, and thank you to everyone who was so kind to me. It was very, very nice, and like I said, those comments were overwhelmingly positive, so thank you so much. That being said, things are much better this week. It's because it's another milestone week, I think. We're officially into month 9. You know, we're in the final countdown. Okay, I gotta wrap this up because I do need to go in for my ultrasound. I mean, other than just being normal tired because I wake up a bunch and my hand's hurting, otherwise symptoms-wise, I'm okay. Just ready to move on, right? Being done being pregnant. I think that's a universal though. I don't think that's a me thing. I think that's a universal thing. I think by month 9, everybody's done being pregnant. All right. I will check back in with you all once I have my ultrasound and my appointment with my doctor. Okay, bye. Well, that didn't go super well. Okay, so got into my sono, got in to see my doctor. I guess first things first, he's breech, which I knew he was still, so like that's not a big surprise. So yeah, called that one. But then the ultrasound tech like did the measurements twice, the growth measurements twice, and I was like, well, that's not great. That's not great. And sure enough, getting to see my doctor, and we continue to trend down. So we're at 17%, the 17th percentile now, which I think she said puts him at like 5 pounds 4 ounces over, which is still growth, So at 32 weeks, he was in the 32nd percentile, something like that, and was weighing in like 3 pounds 11. She can see is that this is a trend down, It is concerning, but since I am so far late in the game, we can't rely on growth scans because those need, you know, 4 weeks in between to matter, and then I'd be 40 weeks and then that would be pointless. Here's our game plan. It was funny, as we were talking through things, we just kept having to like move things around and like figure it out. I was already scheduled for weekly visits since this is so far into the 3rd trimester, but we are going to add biophysical profiles, which I touched on last time, which essentially measure things like amount of movement and arm tension and heart rate and things like that. So looking for signs of stress in the baby. She is concerned at this point that my placenta is not functioning at 100% capacity. So we're playing the game of trying to buy ourselves time, because in utero growth is still better than delivering him now, but also watching, because we're obviously falling dangerously close to that 10th percentile, which is when you are considered with growth restriction. Adding those. Also, I'm exactly 36 weeks today, like we talked about, and I'm going to go back to the perinatologist, the maternal fetal medicine doctor, to do a consult with them about the growth, and also a consult to determine whether or not we can do an ECV. If you remember from last time, the ECV is that external version where they're going to try to flip the baby, but she wanted their opinion on whether or not this is really a growth restriction or growth concern, which I don't see them arguing with, but whether or not it's safe to try the ECV with the marginal cord insertion and the growth at the state it's at. So that won't happen next week, because it needs to happen in my 37th week. And if they decide that it's good to go, like we should try it, then they will we'll go from that appointment and just do the ECV right after that consult. So let's see, in order of what's happening. Next week, I will get my first biophysical profile and see the nurse. I don't think I get to see the doctor. That was my last appointment where I couldn't see the doctor. So get a biophysical profile, right? It's going to be at 36 weeks, 6 days or something. It's right before I turn 37 weeks. Okay. Then at the beginning of the next week, hopefully I get to see the perinatologist and consider doing an ECV. If that appointment happens on Monday or Tuesday, I will then have a biophysical profile by Friday. She just never wants a full week going by that I'm not having a biophysical profile. That'll be 38 weeks. And then she is scheduling me for delivery on 39 weeks, because now it's not elective. There are medical reasons backing it. Now, whether or not that is an induction or a C-section is still up for debate on that. And if anything shows up on those biophysical profiles, she says that's just going to be marching orders to go to the hospital for an emergency C-section, so to be ready for that. That being said, he looked good otherwise today. I got a cute photo. It's the first, profile I've gotten in a long time. See? There's a cute photo, so at least we got one more ultrasound photo, but yeah, that appointment didn't go awesome possums at all, which I knew we were still going to be talking about an ECV. I knew that. But it's just unfortunate. Just unfortunate. It's okay. That's, that's why we stayed with an OB, so we could get this kind of care and know what's going on. But it's just, not what anyone wants. You want your baby to be perfectly healthy and just go into labor and it'll all be fine. And now we're looking at growth restriction and breech, and that probability of a C-section is sure climbing higher now, isn't it? Now, isn't it? Oh, I don't know why I'm not more upset about that. I think because it wasn't the first blow. Arrows have been pointing in this direction that things aren't going super well, so it's way easier to deal with. And having those weekly biophysical profiles and the eyes of another doctor, that's comforting to me. I know she wouldn't let me do anything super dangerous, and like I said, other than us knowing his growth is slowing down and falling off the curve, he's presenting fine, heart rate's fine, all that is good. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at. Family update. Let's do the family update really quick. So last weekend was really good. If you didn't see, I'll put it up here, but super cute pictures of Evangeline. This weekend, because today is Friday as I film this, this weekend we are actually going to celebrate my dad achieving his lifelong career goal. So we're going to go get a really nice dinner, and I'm really excited that. And then directly after that, I get to see one of my friends who I haven't seen in person since before quarantine. Is high risk, so we've been super careful, and now finally get to see her. So it's gonna be a good weekend, and I'm looking forward to that. And I think that's part of what's keeping me up on this too. Like I said, maybe it'll hit me later that this kind of sucks. I think I'm fine because now I know I'm not insane. I was concerned about the growth going down. Everyone was like, hold your horses, let's wait for one more thing. And now it's in, and now we can all be on the same page being like, warning signs, things aren't as great. And so now we can make an action plan, and so we're cool. It's making me feel better to like not be heard, like they were listening to me, but to like have the data so we can make an action plan. I'm all about the action plans. I hope you've enjoyed this kind of throwback style. Doesn't this, for some of my OG subscribers, doesn't this like remind you of way back when we were doing like timed intercourse cycles with like Gonal-F injections, and I had to like come to the doctor's office every other day, and so I'd vlog like this? Isn't that weirdly reminiscent of that? Which I guess maybe more of these updates are going to be like that, because I'm going to be in and out of the doctors a lot. So if you're chill with this format, let me know, because it would make it way easier for me than having to go up and get like full makeup. I hope minimal makeup's chill with you guys too. So, all right. Oh, what a mixed bag of a day. All right. You know what? It's fine. It's Friday. It's going to be a good weekend. Baby Kingsley is just fine for right now. And you are all so lovely and so supportive. So let's take a good mood when we got it. All right? Keep on fighting, ladies. Mwah.